Welcome to a sunny and extremely windy Villa Seamus on the southeast of the island of Sardinia. It is the final of the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships, with Merica from the United States taking on Germany's Young Legends. And it's been a slightly sloppy game. Joining us midway through the first point. And Young Legends, with a short field, have a chance to break to take a 1-0 lead. Here's Tim Kolstad. Low throw for Hertel. Squeezes his way through. Break for the Young Legends to begin. You are watching us live here on OTTV's YouTube channel for all of our crew. For the... I had a word and I've forgotten it.
You did tell me you had a word.
Yeah, for the enrapturing Ali Thomas, I am Benjamin Rees. It is an utter privilege and a delight to be here for the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. 4 days of hard-fought, sunny, spectacular Beach Ultimate coming to a climax here in a fierce wind.
The wind has been chopping and changing all weekend, and even today it started off as a kind of south wind coming away from the camera, and now it is coming fiercely towards the camera. You can see a lot of these throws are going to be bobbled and caught and pushed onto the floor out of bounds.
It's going to be a game where you're probably going to have to win, accepting that you're not going to play your best ultimate. And so we're going to see it there as Kale airmails that one. Powers tried to keep it alive, couldn't do so. Achenbach with a low release to Vital, and it's off the hands of Struber.
Struber, normally a really reliable end zone receiver, but in these conditions, it's made that much harder.
I'm not sure there is such a thing as reliable. When you are fighting into the teeth of the elements as that simple reset pass goes awry, it's difficult just to train 3-4 passes together at the moment. Vital low, and it is slapped down to the ground by, that is Lars Fjellstad, excuse me.
I mean, they do say that having the wind on the pitch is like having an extra defender, but it looks like it's not needed. Both teams playing excellent defense, and Pirelli with the layout.
Think of him as more of a thrower than as a scorer, and he's going to have to throw the assist because he's on the end zone line at the moment. I think maybe he's also got a face full of sand.
Yep, just wiping it off his face there, and it's absolutely incredible bit to save that disc. So I'll be looking to get an assist in shortly. So a bit of discussion.
It's Dan Powers, the captain of this Merica side. Checking the disc in on the force. Pirelli might have to go backwards here, but it's very cluttered, it's very congested, just about gets off the reset to Achenbach. He turns, he pivots around, pops on back to Vital. Vital through! This time, Struber makes it stick. It is 2-0 to Young Legends.
So, worth mentioning, in 2018, the same teams were here in the final. Merica was able to clinch the win that time, but Young Legends showing that they've had the last 3 years to really ruminate on that loss and come up with a strategy to take on this American side. And I'm sure that they have, in fact, engineered this wind to try and give them an edge.
It feels like they have a point to prove out here at the moment. Both of these sides undefeated on the weekend, going 5-0 in the pools, clearing their way through the bracket to meet up in this, well, I was trying to think of a better word for windy, but blustery doesn't quite cover it.
Tempestuous.
This very good, yes. It's a Shakespearean style tempest here in Italy.
I must disclose, I do have a German passport. We are meant to be neutral, but I am very much rooting for the Young Legends here.
I mean, I am also completely impartial. I'll go Merica to balance it out.
Sounds good, sounds good.
I have no ties to either nation, although one of the players for Merica, Sean McCall, is married to a UK Ultimate legend in Katie Forth. So that's the most British connection that we have.
They also brought us beers.
That is true. The mysterious Dawson arrived with a case of beer to the to the booth earlier, which always helps. And this one is macked straight into the hands of Tim Kolstad. He goes back to Hertel.
The Americans being on the unlucky side of this wind at the moment.
Playing it calm, resetting to Lelgen. Lelgen fakes the lower round, tries to zip that through. Would have been some catch from Hertel, but just too much to do. Going to be brought in on the front corner from Aaron Brown.
Yeah, it looks like the wind just put so much speed on that, and it was kind of coming in at an awkward angle for Hertel. So the Americans have a whole pitch to battle up, with the Germans also trying to make that as hard as possible.
It sounded like you started saying field and then decided you wanted to say pitch.
That's probably what happened, yeah.
It does feel weird saying field on sand. I will not lie to you.
Lovely upline cuts from the Americans.
This one is floaty. Anyone could get underneath it. Oh, in the end, McGee got 2 hands to it, but it wouldn't get in there. Been that sort of game early on for Merica. Swing into the centre for Lelgen. This is low, but it is zipped straight to Staffensen.
American sideline. Oh gosh! He looks like he just slapped that down, wasn't even trying to catch it.
Attack with a little pop to Nolte. Here's McGee. Got to be the continuation. Yes, no! Yes, it sticks! Just about into the hands of Patrick Wright. Well, Wright pulled a rabbit out of the hat there. Good Lord, I thought he'd let it go, but you've got to admire the focus and concentration.
Some may say it's wrong, but it felt so right.
There's a lot of side eyes going on in the booth right now.
You're just salty you didn't think of it first.
I mean, I thought that was just the seawater, but you might be right.
So some very controlled throws from Merica there. Both teams are getting low, putting a lot of spin on these discs. So while we're still seeing turns, I think as this game progresses, both teams are going to become more and more clinical, in theory anyway. And also we have seen in previous days the wind does die down as we get later into the afternoon and the temperature cools off. So fingers crossed that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, you're trying to find that sweet spot of getting the game, making sure that it's not so windy that you can still play. And on the one hand, you want to wait it out, but on the other hand, you don't want to get to a point where you've got to play it regardless. And actually, the light's a bit worse. The wind still hasn't really abated. And, you know, at this point, everyone's still on the beach. Make a most of a lively, raucous crowd here who have wrapped up all their games for the week and are fully enjoying the festivities. This one floats. It's another hospital pass. Struber drops it. Maybe got a little bit of a clip on the ankle, but nothing doing. It's going to be picked up by John Hock underneath to Peter Neer, one of the captains, former countryman of the Courier Islands. This one floats and it goes back to Vital, who slaps it to the floor. No messing there. Vital, I thought he wanted to put it deep. He does want to put it deep, but it blades early and just falls to the floor.
It's hard to tell. I feel like there may be a little bit of an upwind, downwind situation happening. Maybe that's just because every pass looks difficult at the moment. But I think it is possible that this right side of the field is potentially receiving a little bit downwind. So we'll see if the Americans are able to work it down the pitch a little more easily than the young legends were able to work it in the opposite direction.
To call these challenging conditions, I think undersells what a challenge is. The speedy Neer makes the first cut. It's a brilliant inside flick. Great catch made by McCall.
Absolutely clung onto that disc as he went to ground.
Because it was really rifled in there.
That's nice.
Artibello. Continuation. Hops it in, does Neer. Not quite. It's a loud presence on the sideline that thought he'd managed it. But he does get it with that cheeky little lefty disc just passing through. Oh, ciao, Artibello.
Very nice. And I think young legend a little bit gassed, having worked quite hard on offense with some hands on knees there. But I feel like my call about downwind was potentially on the money, because the Americans looked like they were having a much easier time with the throws than the young legends were. And we'll see that Struber unable to just field that errant pass, and then That almost a jump in from Nia. I think he just landed on the tape. Well done from the Legends to immediately get the defense on.
I think it's actually Hock in the end who catches the goal. But yeah, credit to following it up. And that pass is not easy. Kind of just that little pop, because it's so easy, especially with the offhand, to not get enough spin and not get enough revolutions on that disc for it to hold its shape. But it found the target, and we're tied up at 2s.
Just a little break as Carter's hat is blown onto the field, so he'll run to retrieve it before we start this point.
Pitch invader, pitch invader.
So we are 2 apiece with Young Legends on serve.
So the final players making their way over, packing the sidelines in front and behind the camera.
Oh.
Young Legends still a break up in this game, having pulled to start, and this one just gets nowhere out of the hands of Kolstadt.
That's a real gift to Merica.
De Frondeville with the 1/2 on his back. Nice way to tape the half in, because they had 2 players with kit number 1.
Oh.
That one, great snag by Kale. Pivots around to the backhand, back to De Frondeville.
These round marks from the Germans. Oh, I was just about to say, round marks from the Germans. Really not giving the Americans a lot of options on that round channel.
Well, I mean, Arcelor, the receiver, did very well, but not quite good enough.
So see, he really has to pivot round Hermicking, and in the end, he just pivots too far. The disc is too far around.
Yeah, it's not always about, you know, point blocking the throw. It can just be about doing enough to fail the execution. Almost a sand skimmer there from Lawrence, but it stays up. Here's Powers. Oh, that's going to be a pick. Kale was trying to clear out back into the center, and he got in its hair tool's way with that distinctive ponytail and the glove on his left hand. Must admit, a bit of a flex to have hair long enough to have a ponytail in the Great Band Masters division.
That is true.
Nice little switch there to palm off the upline cut. Goes back to Kale. Kale just really zings and zips that one through to De Frondeville. It's another break for Merica, 3 on the bounce. We're now back on serve in this game.
And that's really hard on the Young Legends, because they're now going to have to do an upwind offense against the Americans, which they struggled to do in the previous point. So this may be a case of, you know, upwind, downwind. You score an upwind break and then get, you know, an easy D downwind point. So Young Legends going to have to work very hard to put in this point, and they've certainly put on a very strong line to try and do so.
The thing is, no matter which line these teams put out, it is very strong. With Merica, they've got a slightly larger roster than every other team here. You're allowed up to 20 players. They've brought 19. It's 14 for the Young Legends. You know, we spoke to Merica before their semi-final. We spoke to Captain Dan Powers, and he was saying, you know, they were so excited to come here, partly because they knew what a great event it was, partly to defend their crown, that when they put out kind of the initial feeler emails, they had 19 people say yes, basically before he'd even sent it. And they thought, you know, normally it's a couple more players than we'd like, but it's beach, it's grueling, especially coming out of a pandemic. And how could you deny people the opportunity to come here? I mean, it is utterly glorious, despite what the wind has to say.
Yes, it's normally slightly more glorious than it is now, which is to say, still very glorious.
Vital, a man who certainly has a big play in his locker. That was strange.
I think a foul on the mark from Chris Dawson. Achenbach was just waiting there, or maybe look at Achenbach, he's just waiting for it.
Whatever happened, it's an uncontested foul, so this disc will come back in on 0. Attack will check it in, so it remains in Vital's grasp. Vital looking, Bid comes in but doesn't get there, quickly tries to get up. That's Glass. And Pirelli puts it deep. Vital's got a lot of work to do, and it just kept on going and sailed out of shot.
It looked like it was an absolutely lovely pass and floating a lot, but just floated too far out of bounds for Rudi Vital. So Merica, as I predicted, now have an opportunity to put in a downwind-ish point.
Yeah, this might be the slightly easier direction, but there isn't an easy direction, let me tell you. Centre to Brown, continues, nice Snag there from right, because that was tricky, as every catch is in this weather. Thought about the deep, just about jams it up line, and it sticks in the hand like it is almost glued there underneath his brown. At the moment, they are just cramming it down this far sideline. Goes into the centre. Continuation towards the far side for attack. Works his way to right. Good working through this handler, almost Dominator style set until Luca frees himself in the end zone. That's Thomas Glass, and it is 4-2 now for Merica. That's 4 in a row.
Yeah, Merica really look like they've got it together since those first few points. Every pass looking really clinical, plenty of spin, perfectly well placed for the receiver to catch it without the defense getting anywhere near it. And that's got to be a blow for the young legends.
But as we've seen, you know, in these conditions, you never know when a pass might turn over. There's no such thing as really kind of playing your best ultimate. So you have to accept, okay, we've given up a string of breaks. That might happen from time to time. We just need to be ready when the opportunity is there to be able to do it ourselves. You can see a nice shot of the crowd on the sideline, a mixture of kind of players, families, friends, and just some bystanders who are here to absorb the action, Ali.
Well, there are plenty of German tourists. Sardinia is a hotspot for the Teutonic visitors. So,
yeah, I didn't realise that was such a thing, but we have had a fair few people come up to this week just from the beach and talk to us in German. Which, I mean, is all right for you, but we all struggle with, oh, this one pops up. Is it going to be rescued? No, the closest person to getting a hand on it was Kale, but he won't mind that it hit the sand because it's a turn. And now Kale finds the disc from Nolte inside, zings it through to Fjellstad. Fjellstad goes back to Kale. He's got some work to do.
Oh, my word.
Well, Kale certainly had his spinach this morning.
Oh, Benji.
You love it. Fjellstad struggles, but he does get it through to Ottobello. Nolte to Kale. Kale fakes, and then a very elaborate pivot back. Fjellstad doesn't have a mark on. Hertel's a little bit slow in getting there. Maybe struggling in the sun, but hot. Brilliant. Brilliant, just leaning into that inside flick. Merica are rocking and rolling right now. It's 5-2.
One thing I'm noticing is that the young legends' defense seem to almost be slightly scared of the Americans running past them and into the end zone, which looks like they're taking that extra step back. What that unfortunately means is that Merica are able to swing it around the back without really having to move very much. And when you have a bigger team, you know, your legs are just even fresher at this point, as it looks like a timeout is going to be called by the young legends to maybe rethink their offensive and defensive strategy.
I mean, this doesn't surprise me. The game started so brilliantly for them, you know, breaks on the first 2 points, take a 2-0 lead, and since then, the Americans, well, it hasn't been clean necessarily. Expect those first few points to get on the board were especially grindy, but now it feels like they've got a good thing going, and they've really kind of put a bit of a haymaker into the mouth of the young legends.
Yes, after the initial opening jab/uppercut from the young legends, the Americans just sort of brought a knife to a fist fight, I think.
What's the I think it's Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Except the Americans did seem to have a plan for the opening punch of the young legends.
Well, their plan was to punch them back even harder.
I mean, that's what you fall back on, isn't it?
I mean, I understand that is how boxing works.
Hello to everybody watching live on the YouTube stream. We've got Robert Lewis informing us that Kale never looks that spry on grass. Well, I suppose it's a lot easier to do a full extension layout when you know there is a relatively soft sand rising up to meet you. That is one of the reasons why beach is often a conducive surface for this sort of style, because you can throw yourself about with a little bit, you know, a bit more freedom. More abandon, reckless abandon. Yeah, I mean, hopefully not reckless, some controlled abandon if there is such a thing. You know, and it can be a little bit more forgiving, you know, on the knees, on the joints when you land, and that goes for people of all ages. But, you know, when you've been playing Ultimate for a long time, you know, you've picked up those various nicks and niggles throughout the years. You know, you've probably torn an ACL at some point, because apparently everyone has. Yeah, warranty's very much expired. Yes, so, yes, your body becomes like a Theseus's ship of reconstructions, and,
you know, playing on beach, something that can be a little bit more forgiving. It's a nice reward. Especially when the weather's nice, which it would be were it not for this howling gale.
Yeah, to all those on the stream saying it looks windy, yeah, that's how you can tell it's really windy when you can actually see the effects on a live stream.
Yeah, those Eurodisc flags in the background fluttering to and fro show you what's going on. We are indeed using a pink Eurodisc. Pink shows up better on the sand. And Eurodisc have provided the disc for today's tournament, as it's, again, you can see how frustrated Kolstad is. And America wastes no time. McGee to attack. Attack back to McGee. Thinks about the upline cut, but pivots into the center. Lawrence gets himself into a bit of a jam there. This one rises, but they're wise to it and over the top. They made it look so casual and so easy, Ali.
I can't help but think that the young legends are perhaps getting inside their own heads a bit. You know, they have faced Merica before. This is, although, the first time that they've met each other since 2018, since they were top of 2 separate pools. But when you've lost to an opponent, and I don't know what the score was, but when you've lost to an opponent and you know how good they are, sometimes that really fires you up to try and perform your best, but other times you can get in your head and be thinking, you know, they've beaten us before, they're going to do it again, especially when you're, you know, 6-2 down. We've spoken about teams being emotional before, and I think we're starting to see that from the young legends. They just look like they're lacking a bit of confidence.
The thing you would say is, you know, they put in 2 breaks in quick succession to start this game. The fact that they've seen that Merica can, you know, put a break trend together. The young legends will have done it earlier in this tournament. They've got a couple of Callahans as well. Now they will think, if we can just get going on offense, then we have a chance, because, you know, in these conditions, it is a little bit more unpredictable. It's a little bit harder to get your full flow going. The game ain't over till it's over by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh no, certainly. I also wonder whether, you know, the quality of the teams that the young legends have played up until this point, they are undefeated, and I wonder how many close, tight games they've had, how many deficits they've had to work their way out of, because, you know, even if as a team you train together, being in a game situation where you have several points to make up is not something you can necessarily simulate in training. And wow, what a pull.
This is a tough situation to be put in when you're 1 point away from half. This floats. Is it going to stay in bounds? It is. It's caught by Carter just side of the end zone. So no Callahan there for Merica on a high stall. Going backwards. Powers dishes into the center. Carter gets a little bit of a bump on the mark from Peter Lelgen. That compression sleeve on his right calf. It's almost like a long sand sock. He wants the inside, he shows it once, twice, third time's not the charm. Instead he goes back to Powers. Powers finds the cutter free at the front of the end zone. Hackenbach looks round. Feels like there should have been someone there, but there was no one. And Richard Russell makes the catch to give the Americans a 7-2 halftime lead. After the first 5 minutes, this looked like being a very different game to the way it's panned out so far.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm loath to admit it, but the Americans are certainly putting on a clinic in how to play beach ultimate in windy conditions. And it seems like the initial spark that the young legends had is just kind of dimming a bit. They were fully able to execute in those first 2 points, but it looks like that, you know, just a little bit of fear is creeping into them. They're rushing their throws, they're not setting themselves before the pivots, and in these conditions that is just absolutely crucial and cannot be overlooked.
So you're just getting a wonderful shot of the beautiful Sardinian surroundings here on the beach of Villa Seamus on the southeast corner of the island. It's been a wonderful week here at the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. And after this, if you're missing your ultimate fix, don't worry, because XEUCF, the Extended European Ultimate Championship Finals, starts tomorrow. We've got 1 pitch on Thursday and then 2 pitches from Friday at Europe's premier club tournament, and you can watch them all live for free TTV's YouTube channel.
Hello again to those watching in the live chat. It would really help us out if you could hit the thumbs up on this video, leave a comment, subscribe if you aren't already, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time we go live with more ultimate content.
So the young legends are at least beginning this second half on offense. Bach has it. Nice undercut there from Hertel. This is nice. They've got a bit of flow, a bit of motion. Vital Jackson, it bobbles in the air. Brilliant catch from Pirelli to finally break the skid for the young legends.
And that is an absolutely beautiful point for the young legends. You could see, it's almost as if they heard me, sitting into every throw, putting plenty of spin on the disc, and this is exactly what we want to see from the German side.
I must admit that when Vital put that long throw up, then it caused some consternation. Certainly asked a lot of Pirelli, but hey, he's got wheels, and that's what you wanted to see. He reads the awkward bounce and variation in the air, gets underneath it. Superb catch.
More of this, please, young legends.
I think a close game would very much please the crowd in attendance here.
And indeed, the watchers at home. So I think the wind, just looking at the flags, I think the wind is starting to shade diagonally across the pitch in a more obvious way. So that was, in theory, an upwind break for, or an upwind hold rather, for the young legends.
Yeah, going kind of towards the bottom right of your picture. Is that? Well, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Wow, that was. I mean, I didn't know things bounced on sand.
Hey, in this weather, anything's possible, I guess.
So the disc will be walked to the front of the end zone. The disc is still going all the way to the sea. And the crowd erupts as the Merica player lays out to stop the disc rolling into the sea.
Play of the day so far, that from Brit Attack.
That should definitely be the end card.
So we've got another disc in the meantime, rather than waiting 20 minutes it will take after an out-of-breath player to walk back. Here's the enigmatic Dawson. De Frondeville motions downfield, clearly not frustrated with what he's seeing.
Young legends trying to trap the disc on the sideline, trying to force the Americans to break into the wind.
Slap of the hand on the mark from Lelgan. Feel like we're generally seeing the same players trotting out here from young legends. I wonder what their stamina is at the end of a long, hard week on the beach. Carter. Oh, there was a narrow window there for a little bit. He's done a great job there to manipulate the mark, to free up the space into the centre, where he finds Nolte, and Nolte goes backwards. It rises a little bit, but Dawson is everywhere and nowhere at the same time as he makes that catch.
Germans leaving the IO channel a little bit exposed here.
This one, what a bid, does not get there that time from Stefan Klima. Now de Frondeville inching and piecemealing their way down the pitch, just right on the precipice of another goal here. McGee wants the dish to de Frondeville. I mean, there is no space anywhere. Got to make sure that you don't double team. The crash comes in, the swing goes round, it bounces, and Staffansson slaps it to the floor. I
mean, that's exactly what the Germans were looking for with that defense, trying to make that swing to the middle as difficult as possible, wind helping him out.
Throwing it right into the teeth of the heather. It's a long put for Hertel. He's underneath it comfortably. And all of a sudden, the Germans have something cooking here. Achenbach's 1-on-1 in the end zone. Takes advantage of the face mark, but they weren't on the same page. Claudia Hermiking in front of us puts her hands frustratedly to her head. I think she knows that was a good opportunity.
It's a little yelp of dismay there. So we will see the German defense try for a repeat of their previous efforts by forcing the disc onto this near sideline and making life as difficult as possible for the Americans.
This zone defense for the young legends seems to be causing Merica a couple of problems. They are, they're really making them just slowly matriculate the disc down the field.
There's a deep cut, but it's well covered by Staffansson.
Just about tries to squeeze that one through the inside against the mystery man of Dawson. How he can be Merica and also from Curry Island, I don't know. Maybe he has dual nationality. He is a man of the world. Oh, hello, a scuba in this weather. I love it, absolutely love it. It's always almost disrespectful to the wind.
That is the epitome of cheeky.
Look it up in the dictionary, and if you've got a picture dictionary, you might just find that throw. A Pictionary. Oh, no, wait, no, that's a different thing. Here's Nolte, just a little pop down the line. Here's Kerry Carter.
And they've been here before in this point.
That time they do find the swing into the centre. Dawson, 1-2 fakes to de Frondeville. Now Dawson goes through to the end zone. Colored free at the front of the zone. Goal for Merica. And I love that Kerry Carter goes to help up his opposite number. Gives a big hand to Stefan Klima. It was a grind, but America held their nerve for an 8-3 lead.
So at the second time of asking, Merica are able to put in that goal, working it pretty much down the sideline the whole way with lots of tiny little passes, which is absolutely the way to work through that kind of zone. And here we have some American players being applauded off the pitch.
They've got a very loud and vocal sideline presence, America. I mean, we've also got a very loud and vocal sideline presence, but then we've got microphones, so it's allowed. And even then, I'm still struggling to hear myself over the wind.
I mean, I'm in the same boat. So we see that incredible bid again. Just really, Klima giving everything he has. And it's going to be one of those games where the scoreline is really not going to reflect the effort that both teams have put in.
Yeah, whatever the final score, you know it's going to be a grind from everyone. There is no way you can come out of this not having felt that you've been in a real slobber knocker.
We've got some heckling in the chat for the German side saying if Jens was younger, he would have caught that blade.
Would he though?
Well, so he can claim anyway.
Hey, you know what? It's a key part of Ultimate Culture is heckling, so I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Hello to all the hecklers in chat. We love and appreciate you. And to everyone who is not so confident with their heckling and is just kind of lurking in the background again, instead, don't worry, your support is appreciated as well. Is that an inflatable skeleton wearing a Tragic Hips jersey on the far sideline?
I certainly hope it is. Where should I be looking?
Back right.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Only an Ultimate tournament. Vital, underneath. Kolstad puts the burners on. Here's Pirelli. We used his real name, which is, I think, Shunk, in the first game, and told that no one uses that.
Oh, my word.
Woof! Well, I think the name on everyone's lips at the moment is Lars Fjellstad. What a bid. Fully horizontal. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that's certainly a clutch play to make right in the end zone. So America have a chance to lengthen out their lead.
Lawrence holding out the disc for the flick.
Whoop.
Finds its way to Chris Ottibello, and he gets a little bit of a bump. Apology as Merica gets back into play. Here's Fjellstad. Wants to find the option in the centre. He does. That's Britt attack. Oh, off the paws of Lawrence. And Struber maybe got a little bit of a touch through in it as well as it went to the ground.
Yeah, as we said, this wind makes everything harder. Throwing and catching and even running when the wind is this strong is made more difficult.
Yeah, you come off the pitch thinking, I applied sunscreen, why am I burned? The wind burn is real. It really whips in your face. Pirelli's taken off deep for the up line. It's high. It's going. Oh. Pirelli off the fingertips.
Is there going to be a call? It looks like an uncontested sign is being showed even before Pirelli has had a chance to call a foul.
There would have been some catch if he'd hung on. We're going to see it again here on the replay. Gets a decent amount of it.
I think he might have caught a shoulder in the neck, Pirelli. So if it is an uncontested foul, Pirelli will take it from the front of the end zone.
Just going to see the result.
Foul uncontested. Thank you to the players on the pitch using hand signals.
It's also tricky as well because American hand signals are slightly different to the WIFDF hand signals as well, which is not necessarily helpful. The sooner we can convince America to come round to the right rule set, the better.
Ooh, but technically it's no longer a stoppage, and everyone should be able to move as soon as Pirelli picked up the disc, but there we go. Whatever. No one's 100% on the rules.
This is low. Nearly tried to trap it against the leg almost. Couldn't do so. Another break chance for Merica. Trying to front the cutters, and Pirelli reads it brilliantly. Makes every language teacher in Germany happy with that read. And it floats and it bounces off the fingertips of Christian Lang.
Well, it's the sum of 11 after a 10 catch. There is a 1 throw.
And that one, wow, I don't know how that, it was like almost stayed up hoverboard style, just seemed to be magnetically rejected from the surface of the sand.
I thought it touched the sand. I maybe thought I saw a little skim of sand as it went across.
Oh, interesting.
Very much like to see it on the replay, but I think on beach the up and down is a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah, this is the thing, you know, on grass it's a relatively flat surface, but on beach it's not level, so you do get those little mounds of sand, and sometimes if it just clips those on the way through.
So it looks like we don't necessarily have the previous flight of the disc, so it's going to be a retracted down call.
Merica have the disc still in their possession. Bid comes through from Kolstad. Does enough to get the D.
Yeah, looks like Artibello happy with that level of contact, not going to call the foul, so Pirelli will pick up.
Looking downfield, marshalling traffic. Steps in, wrenches the forehand deep.
Oh! And that's going to be a foul call.
Lang looks like he says that he had it.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't disagree with him, but then again, I am very biased.
At least you're up front about your biases?
Yes, hard to necessarily tell from this angle.
It's always tricky when it's like that, because the one thing you don't see in the one way is exactly what's happening, because the defender's back is pretty much blocking your field of view. In the end, they're going to say, contest it, send it back, so it's going to go back into Pirelli's path. Eventually, after he picks it back up, it's Thomas Glass on the mark. They're just going to...
It's going to call for a new disc, Scheibe being the German word for disc.
Yeah, good.
It also means slice.
German is a wonderfully literal language at times.
Tablecloth.
Yeah. I mean, so what's German for tablecloth?
No idea.
Oh.
Someone in the chat, a German person.
Oh, I thought you were saying things like, well, things like shoes are, no, like...
Handschuh.
Yeah, gloves, that's glove, isn't it?
Yeah,
yes, there you are. That's what I meant. Stuff like that.
I was more providing counterpoint that English is also sometimes literal to a fault.
I mean, what else would you call it? It's but yes, okay, fair call.
No break, no break, no break, no break.
So here is Klaus Pirelli Schunk. Goes back to Kolstad. Oh, what a raking around shot to Vital. How do you hold a force against that? And the disc to Struber, it looked good, and then the wind just pretty much put up that invisible plane that the disc could not cross. Merica want to get it all in one. Pirelli's there again. He's all over the field.
Yeah, he's really making his everyone else on the team really work hard. And
he wants this one to come back in bounds, but I think he knows that it is not going to.
So while this is walked back to the field, I can tell you that a tablecloth is a Tischdecke, which means a table blanket, so basically the same.
Thank you, YouTube. Something I heard on the sideline was, we have one if you need it. So I think, you know, maybe if Merica get the disc off the sideline into a decent position, they may call the timeout here. They have one to use. Both teams has one timeout per game. Young Legends have used theirs, but Merica have theirs in the bank. As Lawrence tries to squeeze this one up line, it goes through Fjellstad's hands. At this point, it is becoming a real melee. A little bit of huck and D we've seen at times. This time it's low off the hands of Lang. Lawrence picks up quickly. Beautiful little low allowed break.
As the hooter goes for 5 minutes, we have 5 minutes left of this game before the soft cap will go.
And it's Lawrence to a wide open player, but the wind just laughed in the face of Merica and just pushed it away. Oh, this is a cruel, cruel game at times.
It really is. And gosh, at times like this, you really do think, what if these teams were playing each other in stiller conditions? Because the score has been 8-3 for what feels like an awfully long time.
Yes, certainly, you know, if you want to showcase everything that's good about this game, you would not necessarily have picked this level of wind, but you have to adapt and play to the conditions that are put in front of you.
Should have just moved it indoors.
What is this, Worlds? Well, it kind of is, actually.
There's certainly a W in the acronym.
Pirelli trying to find an option to get free. Instead he zinks it downfield, gets it somehow through to Vital. Now Vital to Lang. Pirelli is burning rubber to get downfield. Instead it's an under, and I don't think Struber was expecting it because he didn't even attempt to catch. Everyone looks out on their feet out there, and well, I think the timeout was always coming from Merica, and it's Brit Attack who does the honours.
I really feel for Pirelli. He's been doing absolute bits on defense and then picking up the disc immediately. Sometimes he's been getting a good cut to hit. Other times he's had to jack it long, and then he's sprinting up the field. Incredible stamina for a man his age, and it's just, I am frustrated.
It's frustrating for everyone out there because they know that this is not the game that they would have hoped for, but this is the game that they are playing, and they have to play it to the best of their abilities.
As always. So both teams have an opportunity to catch their breath, especially the young legends who have been really burning gas up and down the field. As we'll see another beautiful shot of the Sardinian scenery that we have had in the background for most of this lovely tournament here in Villa Seamus. So we'll see again that incredible layout D, just some of the highlights from this half, and another incredible D from Pirelli.
I mean, the thing is, there has been some incredible moments in this game, but because of the conditions, it's moments that neither side would like to have to make. I'm sure they'd much rather have had the game where, you know, they were playing a lot more cleanly, they was a lot more free-flowing, they were stringing passes together, they weren't having to lay out all the time. But again, that is not the game that it has turned into.
No.
It's not the game that the wind has allowed it to turn into.
No, and I can't help but feel that it's a bit of a shame.
It is, but this is one of the perils of playing Beach Ultimate, is that you accept that it is going to be windy at times, and you have to play your best in that scenario.
Someone should create an indoor beach championships.
Oh, interesting.
What do they do in volleyball when it's really windy?
I don't know.
No, I don't know why I expected you to know that and asked you. I think I was just thinking aloud.
I do know many things, to be fair. Lawrence with a lovely break. Goes around to attack. Finds the inside channel. Artibello dumps off to Lawrence. Lawrence looking downfield, doesn't see a cut that he likes. So resets that Merica are rooting the disc much better than when they were struggling in the very early part of this game. Oh, that was a nice snag by Lawrence for a disc that was difficult. This one floats and, oh, visionary. I'm sure Fjellstad was always who they had in mind. And he's going to take the short option. The hell point is over, and it ends in Merica's hands.
So 9-3, Merica extending their lead. There's some hugs happening on the pitch. Always nice to see some really good spirit, especially in the final.
I mean, it feels like those 10 players have just been through a war, an absolute war.
Too soon?
I mean, I don't think they're that old. I don't think these guys were, you know, actually...
I'm kidding, I'm kidding. So just no juice left for that Young Legends line at the end of that point, but we are getting 5 fresh sets of legs up on that line.
So there is the hooter for the end of the game. We will finish this point, add 1 to the highest score, and that will be our score cap for the final of WGGMBUCC, here live and on demand for all eternity, for free on the ulti.tv YouTube channel. And if you want to find out whenever we are live, make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the little bell button for notifications. And if you want to help us do more of this stuff and do it better and bigger than we have previously, then I highly recommend becoming a patron on our Patreon site. You can find the link in the description of all our YouTube videos, or you can go to www.ulti.tv to find out more. This one is jacked from the young legends. Hertel, such a tempting deep target. He lays out of the sideline. He has it in his hands, but I'd be surprised if that was in. And I think his teammate down there, Jens Schoenberg, is calling him out.
My very biased self might made a case for a force-out foul, but I don't think Hertel is considering that possibility. So it will be a turnover, and a new disc is being signalled for, as that one is a little bit crumpled by Hertel's bid.
It's not the first time we've had a replacement disc in this game.
No, I guess the wind makes it hit the ground at funny angles and gets a bit soft in the heat.
People landing on it just warps it. Nia tries to power up at line. De Frondeville really trapped, really troubled. Still count rising, tries to buy the foul, perhaps a little bit there from Hertel. Heads.
Caught by Kuusinen for Team Finland, who'll jog it back. Team Finland took bronze. Oh God, I thought that was going to hit Hertel in the head.
Me too. And I was about to sing his praises as well.
Unfortunately, you don't get to keep the disc if you catch it when it goes out of bounds, like in baseball.
Rubbish. Though, to be fair, discs aren't cheap, it's fair enough. So De Frondeville is going to check it back in. And what a way to check it back in, immediately shooting a breakthrough to Nia. Hock. Low, lashes it across to Kale. Kale looking downfield for an option. Instead, puts a bit of air under it to Hock. Just trying to utilise the wind there rather than trying to fight against it. Manipulating the space through to Dawson. Back to Hock. Just now a little bit of a 1-2 with Dawson. Love the way that those two are pinging it between them. Zinging it towards the back cone. Kale is wide open. And it is now 10-3 game to 11. Merica are putting on a show here for the fans.
So loath that I am to admit it, I think this may be it for the young legends. I certainly do hope to see them put at least one more point and possibly a couple more on the board, but it looks like Merica is as dominant as a country and this club as it is in all other divisions of Ultimate across the world.
Here's the thing with Ultimate though, as long as you have to score that final point, it's never over.
That is very true, and I certainly hope that it is not over for the young legends just yet.
And look, I know it's ridiculous, but maybe if you try and take it point by point, we're trying to get a replay of that on the sideline. Don't quite have the angle of it, unfortunately.
So it looks like we'll have a very similar line to that hell point that we had earlier.
God, I'm surprised that they've recovered so quickly.
Yeah, me too, but when you've only got 14 players, and I guess you want to put a power line on to try and keep the dream alive for as long as possible.
Also, you know, this could be the last point in the tournament unless you put it in, so cannot afford to take players off necessarily. Vital to Pirelli. Back to Vital. Swing to Achenbach. But yeah, there's a foul on the throw there.
Yeah, Achenbach looked a bit nonplussed as to why that disc had just kind of whizzed past him when he was completely unmarked.
Certainly slightly bamboozled by it. Flummoxed, befuddled.
Hornswoggled. Snozzwangled.
All right, settle down. Whoa! Oh. Well, I think that caught Pirelli rather than the other way round.
Certainly caught him by surprise.
Here's Achenbach. He's winding up, he's uncorking it. There's a player, Vital, trying to run through, but it's too much for him to do. And now it will be Merica's disc with a chance to take the gold medal.
So Vital looking a little bit dejected, stomping towards McCall to set his defense. Nice to see some chats happening on the sideline between players from these two teams. This game has had some excellent spirit, as you would hope every game does, especially a final. Yeah, the spirit throughout this tournament has been excellent. I think it just shows how happy people are to be out playing again. And in a scenario like this, how could you not be? As McCall muscles his way up line. Gets past Vital and then breaks
around. Looking downfield for a continuation option, stuttling a little bit. Finds the option eventually underneath is Powers, the captain. Feldman now takes off deep after getting that throw released. Still count rises, just about tries to break it, sneaks and slithers through the hands of Patrick Wright.
I mean, that German defense was really incredible. They weren't letting America have anything under, and the forces in particular stopping those rounds, as we've seen them do earlier in this game. Really brilliant.
Collecting the dish from Lehmann is Achenbach.
Doesn't fancy the dump back. Goes for it in the end.
Oh! Vital, we wanted to go with two hands, and then he pulled out and went with one. And this is going to give a relatively short field for McCall. Inside flick towards the back of the end zone, and
No. No. Has he? Has he?
I mean, if he is, I was very surprised. Teammate is calling him down.
I thought it was going to head into the back end zone of the other pitch.
Me too.
But it actually really hung.
Well, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah.
I think that's down.
I think he digs it out of the sand a little bit. Oh, it's going to be contested? We're trying to signal to the teams that we have a replay if they want it, but they're not looking at us.
People don't do that enough, to be honest.
Oh well, not much we can do.
As long as the players are happy, we continue. McCall with a little push pass through to Powers. Powers to the front cone, to right, can't keep hold of it. There are some slightly uncharitable among us who might say the disc doesn't lie.
I really was thinking that. I'm very glad you say it, that and so I didn't.
Hey, I didn't say it. I said that there are some uncharitable people who might.
Oh, there we go. Keeping your tracks covered. Allegedly, the
Yes.
disc doesn't lie.
Those pseudo-philosophers. Oh, it bounces off the hands of Achenbach. Powers tries to zing this one. Oh,
he gets
Pirelli got a
Pirelli.
tip on it, but it might go back to Russell. He's got it on the end zone line with a dish to Feldman. Merica take the gold medal. They are the world great grandmasters beach ultimate club champions for the second time in a row.
And I believe that Merica has not lost a game at a single World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. They are showing for the second time in a row what an absolutely dominant team they are.
It is something to behold, and remember, this Young Legends team are no slouches by any stretch of the imagination. Had not lost a game all tournament until now, and you can say that, you know, maybe if the wind wasn't like this, the game would have been closer. But in the most testing of conditions, Merica proved they had all the answers.
So the Young Legends will have another 2 years to think about this game and try and come up with another strategy for a very windy game, and then I'm sure in 2023 it's going to be beautifully calm.
And maybe that last point just kind of sums it up. Great tip on it from Pirelli, but Russell was there to read it, mop up the trash, and then the simple little dish to Stephen Feldman to put the icing on the cake and seal another crown and another set of 19 gold medals.
Gosh, that's a lot of gold medals. I would say, I don't know about you, but Pirelli for me was definitely the player of the match there.
He put in a hell of a shift for a side that only scored 3 points. Maybe you could say that Merica were kind of more levelly split all round. I mean, there were phenomenal players from both sides. In the end, Merica just seemed to have the consistency that the Young Legends didn't.
Yeah, I feel like Pirelli might have got more layout Ds than his team actually scored goals in the end.
Unfortunately, sometimes that's the way that it goes. And Ultimate is not a cruel or fair game at times, and that's the way it is. I can already see that there are various beers that have made their way onto the field and are being shared amongst the finalists in their spirit circle. If beers have ever been well earned, they are being well earned there, I think.
Certainly couldn't agree more. We're receiving some high fives from the Merica team representative here. It's very nice
Sean
of them.
McCall, who we spoke to earlier. I must say that all the teams have been, they've been so wonderful, both, in terms of playing some great ultimate, and we've got so much good feedback on and off the pitch as well. It's been honestly a real joy and a delight to come here. A kind of maybe an uncovered gem in the tournament calendar. So, maybe it gets a bit of a, for outsiders, might have a bit of a reputation for just some old people having a bit of a holiday, but the quality's been so high, the atmosphere, the vibes have been unreal, and honestly, what a privilege it's been to be here.
Can't wait for the next one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you want your ultimate fix, don't worry, you don't have to wait 2 years for the next World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. In fact, you don't even have to wait till next week, because XEUCF, the Extended European Club Finals, starts tomorrow. All the way up in Bruges. We'll be making our way there during the day tomorrow, but fear not, because Ulti TV have a crew on the ground there already, and they will be bringing you coverage of one pitch from tomorrow and then 2 pitches from Friday as we jet our way over to Bruges. Although I tell you what, when you look around like this, it's going to be pretty hard to leave Villasemius in Sardinia, isn't it?
Yeah, is there any chance we can move the tournament here?
Can we at least take the weather with us?
Well, I don't know about the wind.
No, but I mean, we've been so blessed by the weather here. This is one of the great things about beach tournaments. Bula have taken care of us as they always do. Iconos Flying Disc have put up a wonderful tournament. They've looked after everyone. It's the little extra things that you don't think about during COVID times, making sure that players are getting tested and waived and things like that. They've done a really good job. And the best part of all is that the TD desk also doubles up as a bar, where I think we should be heading pretty soon.
Yes, I think so. So I think it just remains for us to make a final appeal to everybody to engage with this video. Do give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the performance. Subscribe to Ulti.tv's YouTube channel. Ring the bell to be notified every time we go live. And we also want to extend a massive thank you to all of our patrons who support us over on Patreon. It really does help us to bring as much Ultimate to everyone free of charge here on YouTube, live and on demand. Yeah, we appreciate that. We feels like, oh, they're really pushing the Patreon. Well, if we want to keep bringing games for you for free forever on YouTube for live and on demand, which we do, that is part of the mission here at Ulti TV. Unfortunately, the money has to come from somewhere, and we think the crowdfunding model on Patreon is a great way of doing it. It means that for those who are a little strapped, they don't have to put in $10 for a service that, where you feel none of the money goes back into Ultimate. The money that we're raising is going to help sure that the crew get paid the wage they deserve. It's going to upgrade the equipment. It's going to make sure we can do more pitches at more tournaments, really have a full Ultimate calendar. And if you want to find out about all the work we do here in Europe, in Australia, and around the world, all the details are on our website, www.ulti.tv, or as we mentioned, you can find the link to our Patreon in the description, or you can also search ulti.tv on Patreon. And whether you're pledging as little as a couple of dollary dues a month, all the way up to being an Ultimate producer, like Patrick from Madx or Stephen Cameron from Cameron & Co. Architecture, anything you can support really means a lot. And just think, if everyone who has watched and enjoyed our work here this week were able to put a little bit towards it, think how much we could do, given that I'm generally really proud of the work we've done with a relative skeleton crew this week. But honestly, I mean, it's been such a joy and such a delight. It really, really has. Hey, look, there's us on screen. Don't worry, we are not just disembodied voices behind a camera. We do exist. Unfortunately, you can't see Rob because he's behind the camera. But we do have Chips and Felix. We've got Chips on cam 1. Felix is running the box. Milan is not here, but he was here helping us.
Make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and fund our work
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Ulti.tv